Hey guys, another video for our how to do stuff in Japan playlist. If you spend some time in Japan and you need to submit some form, some document that needs to be looked at by some government department, you will probably need to include a tax stamp. So for example, if you're changing visa status, so if you're renewing your visa because your visa is about to expire, you need to renew it, or if you're changing status to a different visa, or you're getting married, or your job's changed, or for some reason you need to change your status with the immigration department, you'll need to fill out some sort of application form and you'll need to include a tax stamp. So it applies to lots of other things as well, all sorts of different licensing and application things. Pretty well anytime you've got to submit a document that's going to be dealt with by the government, usually there's some form of tax stamp required, and that can be as cheap as, I think the cheapest is 2,000 yen, which is about $20, and it can go up to hundreds of dollars, depending on what you're doing. Usually for the visas, it varies. Actually, it seems to be a scale that seems to be connected to how long the visa's for. So if you're getting like a 1-year visa or 1-year visa renewal, it might be like 2,000 yen or 3,000 yen. If it's a 5-year one or a permanent residency, something, it could be a couple of $100. You know, it could be Ichiman yen or Ichiman gosen yen or something like that. It varies. There's a scale. So, with the immigration example, the tax stamps aren't available from the immigration department themselves. They're available from post offices. But to make it a little bit more convenient for you, usually what the immigration departments do is they organise for someone nearby to sell tax stamps. So for the example, like Nagoya Immigration Centre, it seems they don't want money connected at all to the immigration process, so you don't exchange any money at all in the immigration centres. It just doesn't happen. So in Nagoya, what they did was they've got the main immigration centre where you go to do all your forms and things, and then next to that there's actually a convenience store, and in the convenience store there's a little window, and behind the little window is a little guy sitting there, and you go to him to get your tax stamp. So it's pretty convenient. So you'll fill out your form in the immigration centre, or you might have brought it with you if you've downloaded it and you've already filled it out. And so you'll fill it all out, and then you go in there and he'll give you, you give him whatever money it is. It says on the document, on the top left hand corner of the document, it'll have a little square there and it'll say put your tax stamp here, and it'll say how much it is. So the different documents, it varies. If it's like a 1-year renewal or something, it might be like 2,000 yen, you know, $20, something like that, or 3,000 or 5,000, depending on what it is. And so you just go to him and say 3,000 and give him 3,000 yen. He gives you a little stamp and you just stick it on a piece of paper in the top corner. So some other countries still have that system. Other countries have sort of electronic systems and automated systems and different systems, but that's the way it's done here in Japan. So that'll also apply if you buy a house or buy a block of land, or for my pilot license, Japanese pilot license, when I had to apply for that, and with all the other documents, here's one main document that required the tax stamp on the top of it. Radio operator's license required the same thing, a document with a tax stamp on it. So pretty much any time you need to submit a form that's going to be dealt with by a government department, you have to do the tax stamp thing. So this is just a heads up, just to let you know that, you know, when it comes time to fill out some document and you've got that little thing at the top, usually the place to go for it is the post office, and you just go into the post office and ask them for it. If you're not sure, or your Japanese isn't sort of up to it, just take the document with you and show it to them and point, and they get it every day, they know all about it. So if you just point to the corner of the document where it says 5,000 yen tax stamp or 2,000 yen, 3,000 yen tax stamp, and they'll just get it for you and give it to you. You just lick it and stick it on, and away you go. Just a bit of a heads up, and a little bit of an interesting, well, maybe interesting story that sort of relates across the board to the bureaucracy. On other videos we've talked about the bureaucracy in Japan before, and it never ends, you know. And what actually triggered this video today was to just mention the tax stamp thing, so if you come across it while you're here, that you're not surprised and you're familiar with it. And the other thing is just to let you know to be really careful before you stick it on the piece of paper. So what triggered this video is we're actually doing a document, contract to buy a piece of land, and actually it was a contract, it was actually an agreement with the bank in relation to buying a piece of land, and we'd bought the 2000 yen tax stamp and stuck it on the corner of the document, and then sometimes, not always, but sometimes they then want you to put your income, your hanko if you have one, on the stamp itself, so that half of your stamp goes on the stamp itself and half goes on the page, just to show that's where it is. It's just to stop fraud and things like that. So boom, you put your hanko over the top if you've got one. If you haven't got one, I don't know what they get you to do. I think the immigration centre don't expect a hanko. In a case like this, if you didn't have one, you'd probably initial it or something. Whoever it is that's dealing with the document will tell you anyway. So anyway, I did that, and then talked to the bank a little bit more, and then decided we wanted to change the terms on the document, and that basically meant that document was null and void. So they sent us a new document that required another tax stamp to be put on that document, right? We couldn't use the other one because the other one had already been put on the other document and had the hanko put over the top of it, which meant you can't use it again, right? So, okay, how do we get that $20 back? Because that's what it cost us for that stamp. And we know a guy who's an accountant, really switched on accountant. And I said, how do you go about, getting this $20 back? And he said, just take it to the tax office. And there isn't a tax office in our town, but there is one in the next town. Just take it to the tax office in the next town and they'll reimburse you. Don't take it off the page. So for those of you guys, if you ever have this happen to you, don't try and remove it from the page, because once you do, it's worthless. So you've got to leave it on the page. If you have a document where you've made a mistake or for some reason you've got to do a different document, leave the stamp on the page and then take it to the tax office, right? Now, I sort of imagine that you take it to the post office and they just go, oh yeah, boom, 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 and give you your money back. But no, you got to take it to the tax office, okay? And the tax office for us is in the next city. Oh, okay, no problem. So 30-minute drive to the next city, and it gets a bit busy over there through the traffic, and found the tax office. Never been there before, and crappy old bureaucratic building that you often get here. So I get out of the car. There's 2 guardmen in the car park, as there always is. And like we've talked about all these how-to videos before, when you're going into a situation like this, you really have to have the right mindset, because if you go in expecting it to be simple, you'll be disappointed and you might end up frustrated. So you really have to turn up your patience level and down your expectation level, and expect that it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of faffing, because if you go in there expecting it's going to be easy, you're going to end up disappointed and frustrated. So done the mental preparation. Okay, this is going to require a lot of patience, and no doubt it's going to be a lot of unnecessary faffing around, but sort of hoped that maybe, after a delay, you might get to the counter and they might see it and go, oh, rightio, boom, boom, and hand the 2,000 yen back, That was the hope. That was the, the dream. That was the dream. So anyway, get out of the car in the car park of the tax office. And again, this long boring story, if you're not interested, move on, of course. But the reason that stories like this might be useful to some people is it's a heads up. It's a knowing what to expect, because if you know these things are going to happen to you before they happen, it's really can be useful for keeping your stress level down and your expectation level down and so on. So anyway, get out of the car. There's a couple of guardmen standing around the car park not doing anything. That's usually the case with government departments. They're supposed to be there to sort of greet you and help you feel comfortable and safe or something. And then walk in the door of this old building, and there's a guy in a suit standing there, and how are you, and what are you here for today? And I showed him the document and said, I'm here to get a refund for this because this document's null and void. Oh, okay, yes, please come this way. Through a door into this room full of counters and people, and it's all busy, people waiting and lots of goings on. And please come over here, and there's another guy just standing on the customer side of the counter, and he shows it to him and says, this guy's here. You always get the feeling with bureaucracies in Japan that they're doing something for the first time. I mean, no doubt they must do this every day, But always with bureaucracies in Japan, you often get the feeling that everything that they do is for the first time, you know, and not just government bureaucracies, but also companies too. You know, you often get the feeling, banks and things like that they're doing something they've never done before, and you get that feeling, you know. And he showed it to the other guy, and they're both looking at it. Oh, right, okay, so come over this way. The second guy says, come over here, and then he takes me over to the counter, which was where he would have gone anyway if the first two guys weren't there. And there's a guy behind the counter, and he shows it to the guy behind the counter, and the guy goes, yes, and picks up a phone, right? Because up till then, sort of like not too surprising, sort of expecting stamp. He picks up a phone, dials an extension, and says yes, and he says, I hear him say 801, number 801, and something, and okay, so, and then he says, please take a seat over there. Gives me a folder, puts my piece of paper on the folder, and then puts this big plastic card with 801 written on it, and clips it on there, and hands it to me. Please wait over there. And here we go. This could take some time. So I sit down on the chair, and within a couple of minutes, another guy appears. So what are we up to now? Guy number 4. We won't include the guard man. Guy number 4 appears, and guy number 4 says 800. Walks in the room, says 801, and I said hi, and he says come this way, please, and hi, ogashimasu, and he takes me to the back of this big room, and they've got all these little alcoves, and this is quite common in banks and anywhere where privacy might be an issue. So banks, they often do this, and jewelry shops, they often do this. They'll have these little private alcoves where they take customers to, right? So, okay, come this way, please, and he takes me. Now keep in mind, this is all just to get a refund on a 2,000 yen stamp, right? So yeah, okay, off to this little alcove, and we sit down either side of a desk, and he says to me, like I haven't even mentioned it yet, he says, so what can I do for you today? It's like, well, I've got this document here, and it's null and void, so I just need a refund on this stamp. I see, he says, and have you filled out the form, the application form for the refund? No, I haven't. Okay, and here's that form, he says. So I have to fill out this application form, name, address, and a couple of things, and then he said okay, and then he's got the document, and the document is actually a loan document with the bank. He's actually read it. He's actually read 4 pages of it, and he's sort of scanned through it and read it. For some bizarre reason, like why that would be relevant to the whole process at all would be a mystery, but read through the whole document from front to back. Not every detail, but just sort of scanned through it, right. Made some notes on this application form, and faffed around there for another 5-10 minutes, and then says, okay, so please complete your bank details here. And he got me. Didn't think to take my bank book, and because a lot of banks in Japan still have a bank book, and I mean often other ones have cards too. Shinsei Bank, that we always recommend to you guys, is has a user card, but a lot of them have actual bank books, and of course didn't even think to take the bank book, and poof, game over. Game over. Oh, tilts his head, sucks through his teeth. No bank book. You're gonna need a bank book, he says. So he hands me back my document, and he hands me the application form that we've just filled out, and says thank you very much, and I tell him thank you very much, and walk back out of the tax office and drive 30 minutes back to our town again. So that was a total round trip of about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and sort of pretty much back to where we started. We now have the application form, of course, which is useful. So next time we have to fill out the application form and fill in the bank details on it, and take it back to the other town and submit it. So so the reason for telling you guys the big long story is it's just a good example of bureaucracy. So, you know, you might be smarter and you might not make a mistake with your tax stamp. If you do, that's what you're going to have to go through to recover your money, if you think your 2,000 yen's worth it. Obviously, if it's more than 2,000 yen, it's well worth it. 2,000 yen, it's marginal, isn't it? But that's the heads up on that. Be careful where you stick your tax stamp, and if you do have a problem with it, that's what you're likely to encounter. And also, it's just a heads up about, again, you know, it's the preparation when you go into a process here, whether it be a bank or a government organisation or whoever. Just mentally prepare, because it was more faffing than I expected. I expected some faffing, but it caught me out. They got me again. I wasn't expecting that much faffing, so they did manage to surprise me with the degree of faffing. However, that mental preparation helps. It does help, because you've got to be patient, you know. If you get grumpy with them and go, oh, damn, you know, just give me my 2,000 yen, next time you go there, they might not be as helpful, you know. And they're all helpful. And again, I think another thing that we really have to keep in mind, it's not that guy's system. He didn't design that system, you know. They're all a part of it, and they just have to go along with it. And we have to remember that. It's frustrating sometimes, because they're telling us these things and you want me to do what, you know? But it's not their fault. We have to remember that, of course. So we just got to be nice to all these people, because then when we do have to go back there again, of course, it's going to make it all that much easier if we've been patient. Patience to a level, you know, being patient in any country is a good, admirable thing to do, isn't it? But here they take it to a whole new level. You've got to be so convincing with your patience. You know, if you're trying to conceal your frustration, they'll know, and that's not considered to be patient enough. So you got to really take it, really take it, and be patient. Oh, all right, thank you very much. And that's what they do. If you watch a Japanese person in a situation like this, they'll be incredibly patient. They'll go, all right, and they might be disappointed and a bit pissed off as well, but you'll never see it. You'll never see it. They're genuinely patient about it. They go, okay, yes, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much, and off they go. So they do admit it. We made a video once before about the police. If you have any sort of accident here at all, even if it's just a small scratch on a car, you have to report it to the police, and they have to do a full report. And it's just crazy, you know. And I was talking to a police officer about this once, and I told him that in Australia, it used to be that a minimum of $1,000 damage before they've got to do a report, but it might even be higher than that now. It might be a couple of $1,000 damage before the police have to do a report, or if someone's injured or something. And I told a Japanese policeman that once, and he went, oh, sugoi. And you could see he genuinely thought it was a great thing, and you could see that he really wished it was like that here too, because, you know, they're doing these big reports and loads of paperwork for every little scratch on every little car, and, you know, it must be a little bit frustrating for them too. But I think most of the people here just go into robot mode, and that's the people who are actually doing it, you know, the government employee or bank employee, whoever it is, and the customer, you know. And we talked about this robot thing before. Everyone just goes into robot mode, and that's what you've got to do. You know, when you walk into that government tax office, you just got to switch into robot mode and just go through the process and the steps and be patient. And okay, we hit a snag. I didn't have my bank book, and, you know, needed the bank book. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for all your help. And I'll go get my bank book, and I'll come back again. Thank you very much. It's the only way to go, it really is. I mean, of course you can react differently if you want to, of course, you know. Japan is not North Korea. You can behave however you want, but the results won't be as good. Anyway, hopefully someone found that either useful or mildly entertaining or something. More videos coming soon. But wait, there's more. So guys, it's the next day, okay? And decided that would take on the tax office again. So built up a nice storage of patience, and filled out that form with the bank details that they wanted, and headed out the door to the car, and got to the car and thought, wait a minute, for sure they're going to ask for that bank book or something else about that bank. So went back inside the house and got the bank book and brought the bank book, and thought, okay, that's it, that's got it covered now. If they ask a bit any more about the bank, I'll have the bank book, they'll answer that. So drove 30 minutes to the tax office, And same thing as yesterday, park the car and there's the guard man, and then you go in and there's a guy in a suit and he takes you to the next person in a suit, who then took me to the counter again, and then the person at the counter actually looked at the form that was completed, and it looked like maybe it was just going to get stamped. She actually had a stamp out, and then she went, oh, and she tilted her head and said something else, and then handed the same number from yesterday, the 801, and went and sat down and waited, and the same guy from yesterday came down. And so I was very polite and smiling and saying, you know, I'm back again, thank you very much, and yoroshiku onegaishimasu, you know. And he took me back to the same little booth as yesterday, and we sat down again, and he's looked at the bank details, yes, he said, and then he said to me, where's your hanko? Because he never said anything yesterday about hanko at all. You know, it's the income, that's the stamp that we have to identify ourselves, like a signature. And he never said anything about that yesterday. He checked the whole form yesterday and said it was all okay. And the only thing that he said we needed was the bank details. And where's the hanko, he said. And it was like, you got me. You got me. Didn't even think of bringing the hanko. You didn't mention the hanko, so didn't bring it. You got me again. Good job. Well done. And I didn't actually say that, but I just felt that. And just, you know, and again, like I was saying yesterday on that previous part of the video, you've just got to build up your patience and expect this sort of thing. And it doesn't matter how much you expect it, they'll still go a little bit further than you expected. And had no idea this was coming. So, okay, forgot the hanko, silly me. So, okay, now it looks like we're going to prepare for a third visit to try and recover this $20. So, and then I thought, and I said, so just the hanko, yeah, okay. And so I just thought then, I said to him, is there anything else you're going to need? And oh yeah, he said, and he wasn't even going to say anything about it. And I said, is there anything else that I'm going to need? Oh yeah, you're going to need the original or the new form, because as I told you previously, it was a form for the bank, and then we decided to change the details and submit a new form. And I showed him that form yesterday. It was the same guy, and yesterday I showed him the new form. And then after he'd seen it and he checked it all, then I went and put it in the letterbox to go to the bank, so the bank would have it, because it's a new form we're submitting. That's why it's got a tax stamp on it, right? So I said to him, I showed you the new form yesterday, and then I sent it to the bank because, you know, that's why it needed the tax stamp, because it's being submitted to the bank. And you're going to need a copy of that. He saw it yesterday, right? Yesterday he read the whole contract with the whole bank contract for some unknown reason. He read all of it yesterday, and then he read all of the old one as well. So he'd seen both documents, read them all, and then today it's like, oh no, you're going to need a copy of that. And again, as I said previously on the video, you get the feeling with these guys every time that it's the first time they've ever had to deal with it, and they must deal with this all the time. There must be situations all the time where people put the wrong stamp on a piece of paper, or they change a document and they have to use a different document and they need a refund. I mean, it's got to happen all the time. And yet you get the distinct impression with things like this that they've never dealt with it before. And it's all a big mystery, and it's all a lot of tilting of the head and sucking through the teeth. And so I've given up. Here's the document. Didn't do that in front of him. Said thank you very much, because you know you just can't burn bridges here. I might have to deal with him again in the future. So I got up, okay, thank you very much, and just walked back out the car. And it's burnt. Total time now's like 3 hours probably total time to try and recover $20, and you know, to have to go through it again, go back and then ask the bank for a copy of that document, wait for that to come, and then you know, go back again and go through it and burn another hour and a half. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You know, an hour of travelling and half an hour of faffing around in there, you know, it's 4.5 hours for $20, you know. Unbelievable. So again, you know, the reason for these videos, it's probably slightly entertaining for some people, and for people who are going to be spending some time in Japan, it's just letting you know, and as I've said a million times on previous videos, you have to really prepare with any sort of bureaucracy here, whether it be government or a big company or a bank or anyone like that. You've just got to always prepare for this, because it's always the case. It's always the case. I was organising an aviation medical today because as you guys might know, I've got a pilot licence and I have to have an aviation medical here every couple of years. And in Australia, or probably most countries, you call up the doctor's surgery and say, I need to book in for an aviation medical, and they say, one moment please, and they have a look at the schedule and, okay, what day's good, and you can have this day or this day, and maybe that phone call might take 5 minutes. Did the same thing here this morning and was on the phone for 30 minutes, and then at the end of it they had to call back. And again, they must take bookings for that regularly, but because there's only 3 hospitals in this state that do it, so they've got to do a lot of them, because there's a lot of pilots, commercial pilots. But you always get the feeling that they've never done it before. The systems are always so complex, and there's always so many mysteries and not really sure, and have to check and call you back, and you think, well, how many times today have you had to do this? Surely that particular hospital would have booked 2 or 3 other aviation medicals today, or at least this week, or booking other patients for other procedures that you always get the feeling that they haven't done it before, and it goes on and on and on. I've got to call you back, I've got to ask questions, I'm not sure about this and not sure about that, and how about this day or that day. And actually they called back twice. They called back a little bit later and they said, we just want to check the details on this record, and it goes on and on. So it does drive you mad. It is one of the things that people who live here long term, it does burn them out after a while, because what happens is things that in our own countries might only take 5 minutes, here will take an hour or 2 hours, and we've got a million examples of that, haven't we, on previous videos, like the buying the house videos, the whole process in another country might take 3 or 4 hours, and here it's likely to take 20 hours or 30 hours, and endless faffing and endless mounds of paper. It's all about the paper, the paper's never ending, mounds of paper. So anyway, there it was, guys. After all that, it ended up, there's my $20. Anyway, so yeah, just be prepared. If you're going to spend any time here, you just got to be prepared. You got to try and keep your sense of humour. Expect this stuff's going to happen, and I think in the big picture, you tend to weigh it up. So you just accept it, that this is the deal in Japan, is that bureaucracies are a mess and that they don't get improved, because no one will improve it. That person at the hospital this morning, or the guy here at the tax office, none of them are going to say this is ridiculous, we need a better system for this. This is the 20th time this week I've had to do this. Nobody wants to rock the boat by suggesting that there's a better way to do something. And for that reason, that these things here, and it's even the big companies are the same, banks and things like that. There's just endless silly systems that no one changes. The bosses don't change them. The staff don't, suggest any changes. Nobody wants to change. What it is if there's a system and one person suggests that it's not good or that it needs to be better, the way it's seen is that person is considering themselves to be smarter than everybody else. That's sort of the underlying tone of it, and I've had people close to me suggest that to me before when I've complained about stupidity like this, and I've got to be really careful with this. I can't talk to anybody about this, because if I complain to anybody about how stupid this is, it's likely to be taken not well, because I'm sort of criticising that the system, and it's sort of like I think I'm smarter than the system sort of thing. So you've got to be really, really careful who you talk to about stuff like that. So you just got to accept it's a deal, and looking at the big picture, you definitely, there's a lot of good service in Japan, in the restaurant, people come running up straight away, and the actual medical system itself, that is a big hassle to book that aviation medical, but they'll do all those tests really, really efficiently probably, and that whole thing will probably take, including ECGs and all the tests that they do, will probably take only 2 hours or something to be out the door. So when it comes to doing things, they can often be very efficient, But there's just often times where these systems are just a mess, and you just have to accept it, and you have to accept it again and again and again, you know, again and again, every day. Quite often you'll get a series of these, you know. I've had 3 of these today already. There was another one as well. There's the tax office, there was the hospital, and there was one other today where it was just like, oh, you just want to tear your hair out, you know. Come on, does it have to be this complex? But you just have to keep a happy face and hi, arigato, onegaishimasu, onegaishimasu. So you can't say you haven't been warned. Don't come to Japan and be surprised when you are surprised. Don't be surprised when you are surprised at how ridiculous it really is. I got one foreign friend who often says, it's madness. It's madness. This place is madness. And he does make a good point. Okay. More videos coming soon.